Hello, everyone, and welcome to Know Your Shit podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us in the pursuit of excellence. My name is Josh Cadillac, and I'll be in the driver's seat for today's show as we strive to learn how to succeed in life and build a successful business. We do this by talking to some of the most successful experts in their fields to see how they built the business that they have so we can stop just chasing paychecks and instead build a business we can be proud of that closes clients for life. We have a great show for you today because we have a great guest, Mr. Jim Effner. Jim, thanks so much for being with us.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. It's an honor.
So, Jim, my pleasure. Why don't you start off by telling everybody what it is you do?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I've been in the financial services business for 37 years, and I've been in three different aspects of it. So it's the same industry, but three totally different perspectives. So the first 12 years, I was an advisor, wealth management advisor, working with my individual clients. And then for 15 years after that, I owned a firm with 140 wealth management advisors in my firm. And then I sold that in 2015, June. And then I started this company, P2P, in January of 16, which just focuses on helping financial advisors maximize their productivity by bringing sales training, mindset, beliefs, and so on and so forth to really, like I said, maximize their productivity. So it's a sales training and company.
So what got you started going down that rabbit hole?
Well, first of all, when you own a company, you got 400 people in it. You put out a lot of fires every day. You got a lot of complexity. You got a lot of challenges. And I just got to the point in my life where I said, you know what? I just want to do what I love doing and what I'm really, really, really good at doing and what matters. And I want to take all the other, no pun intended, but all the other shit off my plate. And I don't want to be dealing with it. And so I created this company to only work in those three circles. What am I really good at? What do I absolutely love doing? And what is really needed and matters? And it's training, and specifically sales training with the emphasis in financial services. So I wanted to just do that. I got a small company. I got 4 employees. I don't have 400, and my life is good.
All right. So let me ask you this. In keeping with what you just said, what do you like best about what you do?
What I like best about what I do, I would say, Josh, was looking at the financial advisors that come through our workshops, which were, into the several thousands now in the 10 years I've been doing this, and really seeing their life dramatically improve. I mean, we're seeing financial advisors, wealth management advisors coming in and, 3 and 4 and 5Xing their bottom line. And
Nice.
that has a huge impact on their families, on their life, in a lot of different aspects. And we get to play a significant role in that. So I would say by a generic definition, it would be changing the lives one at a time of the advisors that come through our programs.
Good stuff. All right, Jim, you and I both know when you talk to entrepreneurs, they love to talk about the good stuff. I want to take and talk about the bad stuff because that's who we're talking to. I want folks to have a reasonable expectation. What's the toughest part of what you do? What's the part that sucks?
That I do or the advisors do that come to my workshop?
What for you as a CEO of your company, as the head guy in charge, what's the toughest part for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would tell you that, being an advisor on the streets, the very first 12 years I was in the industry, I faced a lot of rejection. I had a lot of objections. I faced a lot of rejection and so on and so forth. When I got to the level where I was the CEO and owned my firm, I wasn't in a direct sales role anymore. I had a prestigious title. I had a lot of people reporting to me, and I didn't face any objections, rejections. I wasn't dialing for dollars. I wasn't in new business development. I wasn't in the real form of sales. And now that I own this company, it's a small company. I'm calling on financial services and insurance companies all the time. And, if they don't know who I am, and, I'm just another Joe Schmo. The way I get blown off, the way I get treated, the way people don't call me back, I got to call them 3 times before, the chase mode that I don't need at this stage in my life. And so it's too bad because I know if they knew what I knew, it would be different, but they don't. And so I got to kind of bite the bullet and kind of get back into that sales grind that I was in the first stage of my career. That's probably what I don't like the most, I would say I would put it this way. I equate it when people ask me a derivative of that question, I'd say, put me in the music industry, name a musician. It doesn't matter. Call it Keith Urban, right? I'm Keith Urban. When I get on stage, I love to perform. I love to play, and I'm really, 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 really good at doing it. But I don't like doing all the stuff that you got to do to get butts in the seat and stuff, promotion tickets and lighting and, all that crap. And so I just want to show up and perform, and I'm good at it, and I love doing it. So in my world, when people come to my workshops and people come to all our training sessions and all the things I'm doing, I'm on fire. That's when I'm on point and purpose. All the work that has to go in to get butts in the seat and all that is, it can get tedious. It can get frustrating.
Yeah. So I get that. Where do you think, if you had to track it, would you say all the success came from for you?
Well, first of all, it didn't happen overnight. I did get off to a really, really quick start, but at the end of the day, I think it comes from a few things. I think it comes from knowing what I want and connecting why I want it, but also not disassociating with the work and the price tag that has to go in to get it. And, constantly being in a sense of clarity where what it is that I'm doing, even though it's difficult and challenging and sometimes risky and this and that and the other, the reasons I'm doing it, the why I want to do it far outweigh the things that could hold a lot of people back. And at the end of the day, and you've been doing this for a while, if you want to live like very few people live, you got to be able to do what very few people are willing to do. And I'm willing to do that because I know why I want to do it and I know what I want.
Yep. All right. So one of the big things is, as a boss, as an entrepreneur, you have to get good at is evaluating talent, right? Recognizing who's good, seeing things in them, seeing what they're good at, what they're not good at, and setting them up well. I want you to turn that lens back on you, if you would, Jim. What would you say in your makeup has made you good at what you do? What's the thing in the hardwiring that's allowed you to be successful in this?
I would say that in addition to what I just told you, I really don't overthink things. I have almost to a fault a blind sense of optimism. I see a vision. I'm going to get that vision. I have a level of determination that nothing and nobody is going to stop me. And, failure is not an option. So, getting out of bed and having that laser focus on where I'm going and understanding that there's going to be woe is me, self-pity party days where they're not all great. I still know where I'm going to go. I got confidence and belief that I'm going to get there. And I got determination. I got discipline, so I don't doubt myself. I have high level of self-confidence. I have a high level of courage. I have a strong belief in what I do and why I do it.
Good stuff, man. Here's the other piece of that equation, though. In any business, there's always disappointments. As you said, you're making these calls, people don't call you back. Somebody else gets the deal, whatever. You have these disappointments. How do you deal with yourself? How do you manage unmet expectations and disappointments? How do you keep yourself on point in the game, swinging away?
I think I got to constantly in those moments remind myself of the level of determination I have and the impact I want to have, and allow the energy of that to outweigh the disappointments that come along the way, which there are many, right? And there are many where I'm not, I'm not my A+ game every day, all day long. And, there's times where my feet don't touch the ground and everything I'm touching is turning to gold. And then there's times that are tough, and you got to really be able to reach down and grab yourself by the bootstraps and be reminded about where you're going, why you're getting there. And at the end of the day, that it's a marathon. It's not really a sprint. And, we're going to have our trials and tribulations, but I want to be, I think I have a unique perspective that I want to be, I'm 58, I'm almost 60. I want to be 75, 80, 85, 90, looking back and going, yeah, I left it on the field. I did the right thing.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I know you have a website. I know you've written a book. I know you have resources out there to help our listeners. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and what it is you do with that?
Yeah, well, the website is simple. It's jimeffner.com. We have a free website, and we also have a subscription website. But the free one is jimeffner.com. And basically what that website does is just really talk about the philosophies of training, coaching that we implement in work that we do in our summits and all the training that we do for our advisors. There's a bunch of videos on there. You can get a little flavor of, what makes us different, what makes us new, what makes us attractive, why we're able to get the results that we get, and so on and so forth. That's the website. The book is called Bridge Your Gap. You can get it on the website and also get it on Amazon, but it's a fascinating thing. I don't know, Joshua, how much you know about the financial services industry, but pretty similar to a lot of sales industries is that it's the have and the have-nots. And there are individuals that at the top of the food chain are making 7 and 8 figures and living a phenomenal life. And then there's a lot of people in financial services and insurance sales that are absolutely broke and can't rub two nickels together and can barely meet their bills. And there's a gap between the two. And they happen in the same communities, they happen in the same companies, in the same offices. And it's like, why does that have to be? Why can somebody down the hallway of this office be making $2-3 million a year and somebody at the other end of the office barely struggling to meet their bills? And so that book is all about bridging your gap. And the gap is between mediocrity and struggling and abundance and all the things that you got to do to be able to build that journey and build that path. And it gives you a system and a process to be able to do that.
All right, good stuff. As you look at the market today, what do you see as the opportunity out there, Jim? What's got you excited in the market in general?
Well, my market is interesting because mine isn't the end client anymore. Mine is the advisor. And where I see the opportunity in my market is sales training has gone by the wayside. I mean, if you look at back in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and you look at the companies of likes, not even in financial services, but IBM and so on and so forth, when you got into a traditional sales job, you had some really formalized, structured, supportive sales training. Nowadays, for whatever reason, I have my philosophies, but people are kind of left to wing it. People are left to just kind of figure it out. They're not getting real formalized, structured sales training. And so they have very inconsistent results. So what's exciting about the market for me is there's an endless opportunity of people out there that need our services, need our help. And what we do is very, very, very unique. So there's not a lot of competition.
All right. I want to take you to a little bit of a lightning roundish, Jim, to just kind of get your first take on these questions for folks that get a sense of you a little bit. What would you say is the most important thing you've learned in the process of doing all that you've done?
Confidence.
It's important. It really is. Believing in the person speaking, right?
Yeah.
All right. What are you most proud of in business you've accomplished?
What are the most, what's that?
What are you most proud of in business that you've accomplished?
Started this company from a thought in my head and built it to, potentially close to 8-figure revenue. And it was just an idea in my head. My friends thought I was crazy. My friends thought I was crazy for walking away from my old firm that was with a very, very, very established blue chip company. And I had an idea. I was ready to do it. And like I said earlier, failure wasn't an option. And we built a substantial business now in 10 years. I'm really proud of it.
Love it. Similar question, but a bit more personal. What are you most proud of in life that you've accomplished to this point?
My marriage, my kids.
Good answer. It's a good one.
Great family. We got 3 awesome kids, and my wife and I have been married for 37 years. So that's pretty cool.
I would agree. All right. You never know if you're ever going to get a chance to speak to any of our listeners again, if they're ever going to hear your voice or hear from you ever again. Jim, if there's one piece of advice you'd give them, what's the one thing you would tell them right now?
Dare to dream. You get one life. It goes by really, really, really quickly. Go for it. Put together a dream and go make it happen.
Good advice. If you had a limit, this is a tough question for some folks. What is the one book you'd be like, you got to read this book?
Think and Grow Rich.
One of the most commonly recommended books on here, for sure. Yeah. Similar question. Also, this next one would be tough for me. The book one is tough, but the next one is even tougher. Favorite movie of all time?
Caddyshack.
All right, good stuff. Famous person in history you'd want to meet if you could?
Oh, geez. I would say it would be Warren Buffett.
All right, good stuff. Similar question, but again, very personal. Who's the person from your past you'd want to sit down with and have lunch with today if you could?
My dad.
Okay. Yeah, it would be the same answer for me.
Yeah, he passed away 22 years ago, so.
Mine too, 2002.
Yeah, mine was 2001.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
One piece of advice. What's the one piece of advice you go back and give a younger version of you, What did younger Jim need that smack in the back of the head and
Yeah.
be told?
You know, quit being a bull in the china shop.
Mm,
The world's not all about you, Jim. Slow down, listen more, talk less, um, practice empathy more. Um, I've settled as I've gotten older and gotten a lot better at all those things. And the young Jim wasn't very good at those things.
yeah, man, you start to realize it's not all about you. That empathy is so important. It's about other people.
Yeah.
Um, if you had to pick, who would you want to be stuck in a foxhole with? Who do you trust to be in that foxhole with you, Jim?
Oh man, there's so many. But you and listeners would know. I would say probably probably Simon Sinek.
Okay. What do you do to unwind?
What do I what?
What do you do to unwind when you're not busy being the entrepreneur, burning the candle at
Oh,
both ends?
golf.
All
Yeah,
right.
I play a lot of golf. Drink wine, smoke a good cigar, watch football. Yeah,
There you go. It's an American lineup of four. That's really the four pillars of relaxation, probably.
yeah, exactly. Those are my absolute favorite things.
All right. These are a few of my favorite things. Yeah. Um, so, Jim, you got the entrepreneur's bug. It's a disease. We call it whatever you want to say about it, which means we are always percolating new ideas. We always have things going on. What's next for you? What's the next project? What's the next thing you're thinking you're going to be doing? What should we be on the lookout for?
Well, first of all, you're exactly right. My mind, it sometimes drives me nuts. I mean, it goes 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And, I have to be protective of myself. And what I mean by that is that, I'm not good at a lot of things, but the few things I'm good at, I'm really good at. And I don't want to do a lot of things very average. I want to do very few things phenomenal. And so
Yep.
sometimes I got to stop myself when I come up with all these ideas that I think are great opportunities, but I know myself well. And that's not where I'm a subject matter expert. So, but the one thing that I am getting very excited about now is, we do sales training and workshops, and we do a lot of that. We've done that for 10 years. I'm just now to get into the sales consulting space, where very, very significant large companies are having me and my team in to evaluate their new advisor sales training curriculums and programs and rewrite a lot of this stuff and consult on how to do it. So it's outside of the typical summit workshop and more in consulting. And it's intellectually stimulating, and I really enjoy it.
I'm sure. Well, it's got to be good. I always find solving the problems that people are actually dealing with in real transactions,
Yeah.
a little bit closer to what's actually happening and helping come up with solutions is a lot more fun than just like the general sales training.
Yeah.
Bringing a specific
Well,
problem.
it's funny you said that, because many, many, many years ago, I wouldn't recommend reading it. The most of the book was really dry and boring, but Ross Perot wrote a book back right after he ran for president 25, 30 years ago or whatever. And they asked him what was the secret formula to being a billionaire. And his answer was, it's simple. You find a really, really large problem in a large industry, and then you design and come up with a solution, and then you mirror the two together.
Yeah,
It's a simple definition.
totally a thing, but it does make sense.
Yeah.
But it's always been about solving a problem, right? That's what everybody is always angling to do, is find a solution that people will pay them to bring to market. And if you enjoy that chase, it's a great side of the business to be in. I don't know that I love it with my mastermind group, with the issues the agents bring and trying to give them creative solutions to solve these problems that are for them are insurmountable is always
No
a
question.
great part. Yeah, it's very rewarding too, because you're giving them stuff that you picked up through pain and suffering that they can now avoid the pain and suffering that I went through to learn how to do this.
And you know what's interesting, when I was checking out your website, you're dead on, and that is the fact that a lot of people in sales are just like little gerbils or hamsters in a wheel, and they just go, 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 and they're too busy selling, and they don't stop and try to really, hone in on their craft. And what's interesting in my financial services sales training, it carries over into almost all sales, because that is a lot of the common denominator. That is the problem that I solve all the time.
Well, what's interesting is I find that, especially in real estate, we've lost the customer. And what I mean by that is, like, none of the training I had ever started with, so what does the customer want in a real estate agent? Which to me is like fundamental. Like, how do you not consider what your customer is looking for? Like, what is it ideally that they want?
Right.
How could we not be looking at that to take and start solving this problem? We have to, any business has got to anticipate their customer well, right?
No question.
And that's one of the things, and I've seen this on a lot of sales training. They have forgotten the customer. They've focused on sales techniques, and they've lost that the root of those techniques was some underpinning idea that it was rooted in who the customer is and what they need. And they've just kind of gone a whole hog with the idea of sales and, how do we manipulate them to do what we want, rather than how do we do this in such a way that not only do they want to do this with us, but they want to do this with us again and again and again, because that repeat business is the best business in the world.
No question. It's become a commoditized distribution of a product through a transaction and not through a relationship, where you follow Covey's habit of seeking first to understand. And mainly that is what the customer wants, and that's so true.
Yeah, and it's tough. I think that the big thing, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I think the place that has kind of changed is that customers are so oversold to now that their defensive barriers to any type of sales technique tends to be higher than it has in the past. And so that there's a lot more, I find myself doing a lot more anticipating of the customer and just making assumptions about what they want and speaking to that in advance. So like for me in real estate, I know that they're scared of the transaction. Otherwise, if they weren't scared of the transaction, there's no way they'd spend the money to hire an agent. I mean, it's too much money that they're going to spend on an agent if they weren't worried about what they're going to screw up if they don't have somebody there to look out for them. So I assume an afraid customer, right? I'm going to come to it with that, and I'm going to speak to that fear without having to ask you a bunch of questions, because it's me meeting them right where they're at usually, right? And it puts me in this sense where they feel like they're very well anticipated. They don't even know why they like it, but they do, because I'm speaking to right where the pain is, because it's not my first rodeo. I know what the product that I sell is. I know who my customer is, right? As opposed to a lot of this question asking that we used to be trained to do. The problem is the used car sale guy is asking those questions. The timeshare, so all the guys they don't want to talk to are asking all those questions too. So I sound like them, and they're hanging up on that guy. So how do I get past the way I like to think about it, Jim? And I don't know if this resonates with where you come from. When I would take as a young guy and go try to talk to a girl, that first no that she had nothing to do with me. That had to do with the 15 other people that had bothered her that day, that she just didn't want to get bothered again. The second no was totally about me. But the first no was getting past that initial defense of, I don't want to be sold to, And so working past that is kind of a place that's been kind of the part that I love. I don't know if any of that makes sense or resonates on your end, but I'd love to hear your take on it.
Well, my take on it is that what we're in the difference is not entirely, not 180 degrees different, but financial planning is a deeply emotional process. And so you have to ask those questions. You can't assume, real estate is a tangible physical product. If you take something like, especially life insurance, if you take something like life insurance, every single person you call on doesn't think they need it, doesn't want to talk about it, and doesn't want to deal with it, right? It's not tangible. Whereas if I'm an insurance agent that sells car insurance, homeowners insurance, commercial liability insurance, the end consumer knows they need it. Somebody buying real estate knows they want to buy real estate. Now what they want is they want a good deal, and they don't want to screw it up. But it's a transaction that's physical. You could see it. You could touch it, Whereas something like life insurance is a very intangible product, and it is it's deeply emotional and deeply personal. So it's that's a little bit of a twist that we might be different in.
I love it. I love that you could clearly identify what the differential is, because like for me, I know I have to ask the questions too. It's just the sequence of it has changed from how I was trained initially, which is to lead with these questions, go in and get them to like you and ask all these questions, to I actually try to establish that I'm worthy of honest answers first.
Yeah.
A little bit. I spend some time showing them that I'm a person that they should answer the question. I don't assume they're going to give me honest answers. I go in and show that I'm kind of worthy of those honest answers, and then I ask the questions, if that makes sense.
But you know what I think it is? I think it's asking the right questions and hanging in there to really peel back the layers of the onion. I'll give you an example.
Sure.
In our training in the financial services world, it's not unusual for a representative calling on a client to say, "Hey, what does money mean to you?" Well, that's a stupid question because you're going to get 3 or 4 very token answers. It means peace of mind. It means security. It means lifestyle. It means I don't have to worry. It means mental sanity. Well, no shit, right? But we don't teach that. What we teach,
Right.
if I was sitting down with you, I'd say, "Hey, Josh, because I'm in the financial services business, it's imperative I understand what money means to you." So my first question to you, Josh, is I want you to go back to earliest childhood memory. And I want you to tell me what you learned about money from observing your mom and your dad.
Hmm.
And then
Okay.
you'll answer that. And then I'd ask a question deeper than that, and then deeper to that. Because money is weird in terms of, what you and I learned about money. A lot of it was learned at 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 years old. And a lot of it wasn't good. Some of my clients were super positive and they beamed smiling. Some people break down crying. It was horrific. Their parents got divorced because of money. They had major problems because of money. And money's like the evil empire. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to think about it. And people don't even realize that until they meet an advisor who's skilled enough to really seek to understand. That's what I'm talking about.
No, I get it. And you're actually like playing almost the role of psychologist to get at the root of this stuff.
Yeah.
There's actually been several people that I've interviewed on here that have talked about these early ideas they get of money where they would actually they'd be incredibly successful and self-destruct over and over again because as they started to become successful, they had it in their mind money is bad somehow, and they had to take and address that.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, when you're dealing with different people and how they come about this, because at the end of the day, financial services, you're looking to try to help them plan to get the outcome that they want. You need
Exactly.
to understand what does that outcome actually look like for you?
Yeah.
Have you thought it through? And maybe you got some brain damage as to how you're thinking about this that we need to address so we can get you where you really want to be.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Good
Yeah, no
stuff.
question about it. And getting people to verbalize and articulate after some good thought as to what is the message they want to send to the next generation in time that they're not going to be around. And how do they want to do that? And what does that mean to them? And really helping them think through and understand. Those are pretty deep emotional type personal topics.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I think that the idea that we all get too wrapped up in the living of life to actually think about the life we're living
Yeah.
is a true statement a lot of times. We're so busy dealing with the daily problems, we don't look at the overall bigger picture.
Yeah.
And when you give people a chance to take that step back, I always call it the dichotomy of being the CEO and the staff, right? I'm both the CEO of myself and also the staff. I'm the one that has to take and set out the plan, but also the one that's got to go out and execute it.
Yeah.
And I often, and in businesses as a CEO, you know this, you get so busy doing the work that you forget to do the job of being the CEO too. There's always another task that's got to be done.
Yeah.
And so, it puts people in this interesting position that you got to kind of pull them back to that CEO role of like, hey, what the hell are you even trying to get done here in this life?
Yeah.
Right. And going forward, then how can we execute that? How can we make you more likely to get there? That's good stuff. I love the conversation, Jim, and I thank you so much for being on. Where can people find you if they want more on the sales training? They want to learn more about what you're talking about the onion peeling techniques.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those videos are on my academy, but they're also all over our free website, which is jimeffner.com. So I would start at jimeffner.com, and whatever catches your fancy as you navigate around there, you can then go to either the book or the subscription website as well. But yeah, www.jimeffner.com. That's where it's at.
Awesome, Jim. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. I greatly appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, you bet. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. And I want to thank our listeners for spending their time with us, guys. It's always great to have you here. I'll remind you, as I always do, there's never a good excuse not to know your shit. Till next time.